Congratulations and welcome to the Endless Options System. I am so excited you're here because for the last 2 years, I've dedicated my entire life to figuring out how to crack the code to online dating. And right now, you're about to learn my step-by-step system on how to attract model quality women, even if you're not good looking, using online dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, and some other ones that you may or may not have heard of. How exciting is that? So here's how the course works. At the end of every module, you are going to get a questionnaire. This questionnaire is going to dictate how the next week of content is going to look. So every week you get a new module for 5 weeks. And based on your answers at the end of each module, my team and I will cater the next week's content specifically to that so that no stone is left unturned. Every question you have will be answered in these next 5 weeks. So before we get to the course, I want to talk about something that's pretty personal to me. It's actually very difficult to talk about, and that is the breakup that I went through a little over 2 years ago. I was in a 6-year relationship with a woman that I thought I would marry, and a month before I was gonna propose to her, she dumped me. It was a type of relationship where every day I loved her more. After 6 years, I didn't even think that was possible. To be honest, before her, I never experienced love. And when she broke up with me, it was probably the most devastating thing I've ever been through in my entire life. I'm a professional dating coach. I've helped millions of men around the world with their dating lives. And yet, at the end of my relationship, as a single man, after being monogamous for 6 years and being in love, I felt like I was lost. I also felt hopeless because the journey to meeting my ex was pretty crazy. I went through a radical self-transformation myself. I used to be an extremely shy, introverted guy, and I had to work on my social skills. I would start conversations with random people to get over my crippling social anxiety. And through that journey, I met my ex, and it took years. Years of meeting people, of going on dates before I met someone that I would actually consider dating. And the reality is, that's how it goes. Unless you're willing to settle, you just have to go on a lot of dates to meet someone that really clicks with you. And so after putting in all this time and effort, finding the person that I thought would be my soulmate, I was completely helpless after she broke up with me. I thought to myself, do I have to put in another 5 years of work, of meeting hundreds of people before I find the one? That thought didn't sit well with me. There had to be a better way. But the reason that I'm telling you this is because this entire system, everything you're gonna watch, was born from intense pain. It's only because I felt that intense pain and that intense desire to find someone new that I even figured out any of this stuff. It's the only reason that I spent $250,000, quit my job, and traveled the world and hired a team to figure this out. Pain was the catalyst. And I want you to understand something. What you're about to learn isn't being taught anywhere else. I'm in a very lucky situation. I come from an entrepreneurial background. I've started successful companies. I've built businesses. I took that same skill set and I applied it to online dating. No one's ever done this before. So no matter what your situation is, whether you came from a terrible breakup or you can't even get a date with online dating, no one responds to your messages, this system will solve your problems as long as you follow it step by step. I've been a dating coach for almost a decade, and nothing I've taught has come close to how impactful this is. Endless Options is the best way to leverage the scale of the internet to solve your dating life. So from this point on, I want you to adopt a mentality shift. Most people have these things called limiting beliefs. They are these beliefs that people hang on to that they use as an excuse to not do something. So for example, I'm not good looking enough for online dating, or I need to look like I'm rich to be successful online. These are just bullshit limiting beliefs that most guys believe. Now, this is actually a huge benefit for you because the fact that most guys believe it means they're not playing this game. They're not playing the game of spiking emotions. They're not playing the game of creating a funnel, which I'll talk about later. They're playing the same game that every other guy is playing, using online dating, hoping to get lucky, but the reality is, it's a crapshoot. And again, this is our advantage. Because most guys suck, we can hack the system. That's why I'm offering such a rock-solid money-back guarantee. If this doesn't work for you, I don't want your money. But here's the thing. If you implement it, it's gonna work. I've tested this on students from all walks of life, and it works. It works really fucking well. To the point where my students are having different problems than most guys. They can't even keep up with scheduling dates because there are so many women that want to take them out. I want you to have this problem. But for right now, what I want you to do is reflect on why you're here. What's your core motivator for doing this? Why do you care about fixing your dating life? Why are you putting in this effort, this time, this attention on figuring this out. You need to know what your core motivator is. It's what's gonna guide you. So I ask you again, why are you here? What does success look like to you? Just pause this video and let me know in the comments below. I will read every single one. Maybe you want to find an amazing girlfriend. Maybe you want to feel like you have options and you don't have to settle. Maybe you just want to date casually. So take a moment, pause this video, and let me know. I'm gonna read every single comment. Now, the first step to solving a problem is admitting there's a problem in the first place. Most people don't do this. Most people just stay in their comfort zone, never admit there's a problem, and keep doing what they've always done, which leads them to getting the results they've always gotten, which for most people is average to below average. Unfortunately, for that group of people, they're usually destined for mediocrity. The reality is you can never change your life unless you step outside of your comfort zone, which is kind of sad because if you think about society as a whole, we're always told to follow a certain path, to do something that's already been done before because it's safe and it's easy. Most people ignore the fact that the internet is the most insane tool that's ever existed. With the scale of the internet, you can essentially replicate yourself an infinite number of times. You don't need to go up to one girl at a bar and introduce yourself, when online you can do that with 100 people at the same time. Do you understand how on a return on your time investment perspective, using the internet just makes more sense? I remember a specific moment just a couple months after my breakup. I was out at a bar with one of my best friends, and we went there and we wanted to just talk to people and socialize. And sure, it was fun. But the problem is, I think I met 2 people. I remember walking home at 3 a.m. with my best friend, and we looked at each other and we were like, this can't be the best way to meet and attract women. There has to be a better way. There has to be a way where we can leverage all the things that we've learned in business, in marketing, in creating YouTube videos, all these skills that could be applied to an online dating profile. And this idea got stuck in my head. So I embarked on this insane journey. This journey that led me to spending over 2 years and $250,000 on research and development, on cracking this code. A system that has allowed my test group of students, who are just average to below average looking guys, just like you and me, date international models. And now I want to do the same thing for you. Let's take a step back and understand how this entire system works. Everything I'm going to teach you is based on this idea of emotional highs. By using high impact openers, bios, and messages, you're going to trigger an emotional high in the girl looking at your profile. Or if she's talking to you, you're gonna trigger an emotional high with your conversation. She's gonna experience something that she's never experienced with any other guy on any other dating app, because you have an unfair advantage. You have tested strategies, tested messages that you're gonna be sending her. Everything that I teach you has been designed to elicit an emotional high. Most guys think it's looks. And I'm not gonna lie to you, looks do matter. 25%. The other 75% is in your control. That's a pretty damn good ratio. So let's not focus on the things that we don't have that much control over and focus on the 75% that we do. And even for the 25% that has to do with looks, I'll tell you how to maximize that. So let's crack into this. To really understand this, I want to use an analogy. You know those annoying YouTube ads that you see that take up your whole screen and it gives you 5 seconds to skip it? Most people see that and they can't wait to hit that skip button. But every now and then, it's super rare, you'll see a commercial that captures your attention, where you're watching it and you think, wait a second, this is actually kind of good. Most ads don't do this. Most ads have a very crappy signal to noise ratio. But I want to show you an example of something that I consider to be a good ad. One of my friends, Julian, he's a photographer. He sells a course on photography. He's mainly advertising to people who want to be a freelance traveling photographer, basically making a full-time living while traveling as a freelance photographer. Now, there's a ton of people selling courses like this. It's super hard to make any money in this kind of business because there's so much competition. However, Julian understands something that most people don't. He understands how to elicit an emotional high from his viewer. So I'm gonna show you a 55-second ad that he did selling his photography course. This ad blew the competition out of the water. Now I'm gonna make a connection from this ad to your online dating profile in a second, but as you watch this, I want you to keep in mind the lesson here. Take account of your emotions as you watch this ad. Does it make you feel something? Even if you're not interested in learning to be a freelance photographer that travels the world, you still are probably gonna feel something watching this ad. So take a look.
What's up?
I'm so sorry, Liz.
What do you mean?
I see all these people traveling the world doing whatever the fuck they want, and I feel like I'm so stuck. But I know I can do it, I just don't know how.
I'm facing back to front. Over my shoulder at the sun, and it's an open door, and off my line of sight once more. And out of love, it'll all be fine.
Do you see how that's totally different from everything else out there? Most people selling photography courses are just talking to a camera and talking about why their course is the best. Instead, what Julian did is he made you feel an emotion. That's why his ad is outcompeting the competition. He has a wildly successful photography business because he understands emotions. He understands the importance of getting someone to feel something, because emotions are addicting. Happiness, love, sadness, we all want to feel something. And when a stranger can do that through a phone, it's powerful. Why? Because it's rare. It doesn't happen very often. It happens about 1% of the time. And you're going to be that 1%. If you send an opening message that gets her to laugh, you've just created an emotional high. If your bio is written in such a way where when she reads it, she thinks to herself, I've never seen a bio like this before, you've just created an emotional high. If when you ask her out, she responds enthusiastically, it's because you did everything correctly. It's because she feels something when she talks to you, even if it's just through a phone. And when you do this, you're implanting this idea in her head. This idea that if he's this cool and this funny over the phone, just imagine how awesome he's gonna be on the date. And that's what gets women to feel super excited about meeting you. And I know this works because I've leveraged emotional highs to get over 500 million views on YouTube. Organically, by the way. Didn't pay for any ad traffic. People organically shared my videos because I understood emotional highs. Now what we're gonna do here is something that no one's ever done before. We're gonna steal those same viral ideas that make YouTube videos get shared, that make you wanna watch an ad, and we're gonna take it and apply it to our dating profile. This is how you're going to stand out in a sea of noise. This is how I've been able to date model quality women while being a 5'7", 30-year-old balding brown guy. And the reason I mentioned the balding brown guy thing is because there have been studies shown that minorities just don't do as well with online dating. Yet, I am outcompeting men that look like literal male models. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to show you what's possible. And it's easy to see why this works once you understand what women go through. I asked my friend Jenny to make a Tinder account. She's an attractive girl, she's in a relationship, she hasn't really used Tinder before, and so for her, this was also a new experience. And she was shocked. She could not believe the amount of noise that she saw. All the messages were practically saying the exact same thing. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in your brain. It's associated with feelings of happiness and enthusiasm. When you watch your favorite YouTuber, your favorite movies, TV show, if the creator did their job properly, you should be experiencing these little hits of dopamine. And this is what you're gonna do when you use online dating. You're gonna craft the entire experience for maximum dopamine release. Sounds weird to say, but this is how businesses and marketers think about making more money, about converting a lead.